The church bells tolled like a death knell as Emily stood at the altar, her white gown feeling more like a shroud. In that frozen moment, as vows hung in the air unspoken, she turned not to her groom, but to the woman in the front row, her best friend's mother, Laura, and their eyes locked in a silent confession that shattered everything. The gasp from the congregation echoed through the vaulted ceiling, but Emily couldn't stop herself. She stepped forward, pulled Laura into a kiss that tasted of years of hidden longing, and the world she knew crumbled in an instant. Emily's heart pounded as she pulled away, Laura's lips still warm against hers, the shock rippling through the room like a wave. Mark, her fiancé, stood there dumbfounded, his face paling as whispers turned to murmurs. But it was Sarah, Emily's best friend and Laura's daughter, who reacted first, her bouquet hitting the floor with a thud as she stormed out, the door slamming behind her like a final judgment. In the chaos that followed, Emily fled the church, her heels clicking against the pavement of the quiet Boston suburb. Rain began to fall, mirroring the tears she hadn't yet shed. How had it come to this? It started innocently enough 2 years ago, when Emily moved to Massachusetts for college. Sarah had been her roommate, bubbly and outgoing, introducing her to the family home in Cambridge, a cozy Victorian filled with books and the scent of Laura's homemade apple pie. Laura was everything Emily's own mother wasn't. Warm, intellectual, a literature professor at Harvard who quoted Virginia Woolf over dinner. At 42, she carried herself with a quiet grace, her blonde hair often tied back, revealing sharp blue eyes that seemed to see through Emily's facade. Emily, at 20, was studying psychology, drawn to the complexities of the human mind, but she never expected to unravel her own so thoroughly. Their first real conversation happened during a family dinner. Sarah had dragged Emily home for Thanksgiving, and while Sarah chatted animatedly about her sorority life, Laura turned to Emily with a knowing smile. "So, what draws you to psychology? The secrets people keep." Emily had laughed nervously, but Laura's question lingered, probing at the edges of her own hidden truths. As weeks turned to months, Emily found excuses to visit more often. Study sessions with Sarah morphed into late-night talks with Laura in the kitchen, discussing everything from feminist theory to the pressures of modern life. Laura was married then to David, a stoic engineer who traveled often for work. But Emily noticed the cracks. The way Laura's smile faded when David dismissed her ideas, the subtle flinches at his offhand comments about women's roles. One evening, after David had left for another trip, Emily stayed late. Sarah was out with friends, leaving the two alone. They shared a bottle of wine, and Laura opened up about her marriage, the loveless routine, the sacrifices she'd made for Sarah's sake. "I thought stability was enough," Laura confessed, her voice breaking. "But it's like living in a cage." Emily reached out, her hand covering Laura's, and in that touch something ignited, a spark of understanding, of shared loneliness. From there the boundaries blurred. Stolen glances during family gatherings, texts that started professional but turned personal. Emily wrestled with guilt. Laura was her best friend's mom, married, twice her age. Society's voice echoed in her head. Wrong, immoral, taboo. But the pull was undeniable. Laura made her feel seen, valued in a way no one else had. The first betrayal came subtly. Emily began avoiding dates with guys from class, citing study loads, but really, her thoughts were consumed by Laura. One night, after a heated argument with David over the phone, Laura called Emily in tears. Emily drove over, finding Laura on the porch, wrapped in a blanket. They talked until dawn, and as the sun rose, Laura leaned in, their foreheads touching. No kiss, but the intimacy was electric. Sarah noticed the changes. "You're always here, Em. Mom's starting to think of you as another daughter." The words stung like a slap, highlighting the deception. Emily smiled through it, but inside turmoil brewed. Was she falling in love? Or was this just a phase, a rebellion against her conservative upbringing in rural Texas, where being gay was whispered about like a curse? The pressure mounted when David announced he wanted to renew their vows for their 20th anniversary. Laura confided in Emily, her voice trembling. "I can't do it." "But Sarah, she idolizes our perfect family." Emily urged her to be honest, but Laura hesitated, trapped by societal expectations, the facade of the happy heterosexual marriage. As the wedding approached, Emily's internal conflict peaked. She loved Sarah like a sister, but her feelings for Laura were deeper, more consuming. The night before the ceremony, They met in secret at a coffee shop. This has to end, Laura said, tears streaming. For everyone's sake. But Emily couldn't let go. What if it's not wrong? What if we're meant to be? The kiss at the altar was impulsive, born of desperation. Now in the rain-soaked street, Emily's phone buzzed, text from Sarah. How could you? You're dead to me. From Mark? We're done. And nothing from Laura. The weight of her choices crashed down. The first crack in a web of lies that would entangle them all. Emily huddled in a dingy motel room on the outskirts of Boston, the neon sign flickering through the curtains. Her wedding dress lay crumpled on the floor, a symbol of the life she just torched. Hours had passed since the church fiasco, and the silence from Laura was deafening. She replayed the kiss in her mind, the softness, the urgency, but now it felt like a grenade she'd pulled the pin on. Her phone rang. It was her mother calling from Texas. Emily, what in God's name have you done? The whole town's talking. Kissing a woman? At your own wedding? The disapproval dripped like venom, echoing the sermons from her childhood church about sin and damnation. Emily hung up, tears burning her eyes. She'd always known she was different, but coming out like this, explosively, publicly, wasn't the plan. It was a scream for authenticity, but at what cost? Laura, meanwhile, faced her own storm at home. David paced the living room, his face red with fury. Who is she to you? Some fling? You've humiliated me. Sarah sat on the couch, sobbing, her trust shattered. Mom, how long? With my best friend. Laura tried to explain, the emptiness in her marriage, the unexpected connection, but words failed. David stormed out, slamming the door, leaving Laura to confront her daughter alone. I didn't mean for this to happen, Laura whispered. Sarah's eyes flashed with betrayal. You chose her over us? Over Dad? Over me. The accusation hit like a dagger. Laura had spent years prioritizing family, suppressing her own desires. Raised in a strict Catholic household, she'd married young, convinced love was about duty, not passion. But Emily had awakened something dormant, a truth she buried deep. The next day, Emily returned to the apartment she shared with Sarah, only to find her things packed in boxes on the doorstep. A note. Get out. Traitor. Homeless and heartbroken, Emily crashed with a distant cousin in Somerville. She applied for jobs, anything to survive, while grappling with the fallout. Friends from college distanced themselves, whispers of homewrecker following her. Laura filed for divorce, a decision that ripped through their social circle. Colleagues at Harvard raised eyebrows. Students gossiped. Professor Thompson's midlife crisis, they snickered. But Laura pushed forward, attending therapy sessions to unpack decades of repression. I thought I was straight, she told her therapist. Or at least I convinced myself I was. The sessions revealed patterns. Crushes on female friends in college, dismissed as admiration. A loveless marriage sustained for appearances. Their first meeting post-kiss was tense, in a neutral park bench overlooking the Charles River. Why did you do it? Laura asked, her voice steady but eyes weary. Emily shrugged. Because I couldn't pretend anymore. Seeing you renew vows with him. It killed me. Laura admitted her own cowardice. I should have ended it sooner. But fear held me back. Fear of hurting Sarah, of judgment. They decided to take it slow, but society didn't allow that luxury. Rumors spread like wildfire. Emily's internship at a local clinic was revoked. We can't have distractions, they said. Laura faced a formal complaint from a conservative parent. Inappropriate influence on students. The university investigated, clearing her but leaving a stain on her reputation. Sarah's retaliation cut deepest. She outed them on social media. A scathing post about betrayal and lies. Comments poured in. Supportive from some, vicious from others. Disgusting, one read. Think of the children. Sarah blocked them both, severing ties. Laura's attempts at reconciliation, letters, calls, went unanswered. The loss gnawed at her. A mother's love twisted into grief. Emily, too, paid dearly. Her family disowned her. A terse email from her father. You're no daughter of mine. Isolation set in, depression lurking at the edges. She questioned everything. Was love worth this destruction? The moral quandary haunted her. Had she been selfish, pursuing happiness at others' expense? Yet, amid the wreckage, moments of clarity emerged. They attended an LGBTQ support group in Boston, hearing stories of similar struggles. One woman shared her journey, leaving a heterosexual marriage, facing custody battles but finding peace. It inspired Laura to fight for her truth, applying for tenure despite the backlash. As months passed, their relationship deepened, built on shared vulnerability. But challenges persisted. David's divorce proceedings turned ugly, accusing Laura of infidelity to sway asset division. Court dates loomed, forcing Laura to relive the affair under scrutiny. "Did you consider the impact on your daughter?" the lawyer pressed. Laura's response: "Every day. But living a lie hurt her more." Emily stood by her, but doubts crept in. Was this real or rebound? The age gap fueled insecurities. Friends warned Emily of power imbalances. One night, after a heated argument about finances, Emily struggling, Laura offering help, Emily snapped, "I don't want your pity." Laura's calm reply: "It's not pity. It's love." The reconciliation that followed strengthened them, but the scars remained. Sarah's silence broke with the unexpected visit. Standing at Laura's door, eyes red, she demanded answers. Why her? Why now? The confrontation unearthed buried emotions. Sarah's own confusion about her sexuality, projected as anger. "I thought our family was perfect," she admitted. Laura hugged her, whispering apologies, but healing would take time. The high cost of their choices weighed heavy, each decision a thread in a tapestry of pain and growth. The courtroom in downtown Boston felt like a pressure cooker, with Laura on the stand, her hands clasped tightly to hide the tremble. David's lawyer circled like a shark, dredging up emails and texts between her and Emily, evidence of the affair. "Mrs. Thompson, did you not think about the ethical implications of pursuing a relationship with your daughter's best friend?" The question hung, judgmental eyes from the gallery boring into her. Laura met them steadily. "I thought about everything. But denying who I am was no longer an option." Outside, Emily waited in the hall, pacing. The divorce had dragged on for 6 months, draining savings and energy. She'd taken a barista job at a coffee shop near MIT, serving lattes to students who eyed her curiously. "The girl from the scandal." Whispers followed. "That's the one who broke up Professor Thompson's marriage." The societal backlash was relentless, a reminder of how far acceptance still had to go, even in progressive Massachusetts. Post-hearing, Laura collapsed into Emily's arms in the parking lot. "It's almost over," Emily murmured. But freedom came with strings. David won partial custody of family heirlooms, and Laura's alimony was slashed. More painfully, Sarah sided with her father initially, attending hearings on his behalf. "You're choosing sides?" Laura had asked, heartbroken. Sarah's reply: "You chose first. Rebuilding required sacrifices." Laura scaled back her teaching load to focus on research, authoring a paper on queer identity in literature, drawing from her experience. It garnered attention but also hate mail, pervert polluting academia. She installed security cameras at home, paranoia setting in. Emily, sensing Laura's strain, suggested therapy together. Sessions revealed imbalances. Emily's youth versus Laura's experience. The mentor-student dynamic twisted into romance. One session exploded into conflict. "You treat me like a child sometimes," Emily accused. Laura countered. "And you push boundaries without thinking of consequences." The therapist mediated, uncovering Emily's abandonment fears from her family, Laura's guilt over appending lives. They emerged raw but committed, vowing better communication. Social pressures intensified when they attended their first Pride event. Hand in hand amid rainbow flags and cheers, they felt a glimmer of belonging. But a familiar face, Sarah, appeared in the crowd, protesting with a conservative group. "Traditional family values," her sign read. Their eyes met across the divide. Sarah's expression a mix of anger and sorrow. Later, Emily confronted her at a neutral cafe. "Why fight against us?" Sarah's voice cracked. "Because you destroyed mine." The encounter sparked Sarah's awakening. She began questioning her beliefs, attending secret meetings with LGBTQ allies. But loyalty to David pulled her back. He remarried quickly to a younger woman, parading the new family at events. "See? Happiness after betrayal," he boasted. Sarah saw the hypocrisy, the shallowness. Emily's career suffered a setback when a potential grad school recommendation was withdrawn. Your personal life raises concerns, the professor said. Desperate, she applied elsewhere, facing rejections laced with bias. We value diversity, but the unspoken. Not this kind. Frustration boiled over. Emily lashed out at Laura one night. This is all because of us. I could have had a normal life. Laura's quiet response. Normal isn't always right. The turning point came during a family mediation session, mandated by the court for co-parenting. Though Sarah was an adult, emotions ran high. David dominated, blaming Laura. But Sarah interjected. Dad, you weren't happy either. Mom deserved better. The admission stunned everyone. Tears flowed as truths emerged. David's own affairs hidden for years. I stayed for the image too, he confessed. Healing began tentatively. Sarah reached out to Emily. An awkward lunch where apologies mingled with accusations. You stole my mom. Emily shook her head. I love her. And I loved you as a friend. Sarah's walls cracked. She admitted her own crushes on girls buried deep. Maybe I'm like you. The revelation bonded them in unexpected ways. Laura and Emily moved in together. A small apartment in Back Bay, symbolizing a fresh start. But external threats persisted. A homophobic neighbor vandalized their car, scrawling slurs. Police reports filed, but fear lingered. Laura considered relocating, but Emily refused. We fight for our place. Professionally, Laura's paper got published, earning acclaim. Invitations to speak at conferences followed, turning pain into purpose. Emily enrolled in online courses, rebuilding her path. Their relationship, forged in fire, grew resilient. Intimate moments, cooking dinner, sharing books, balanced the drama. Yet, doubts resurfaced during holidays. Thanksgiving alone without family highlighted losses. Emily called her parents, met with silence. Laura comforted her. We build our own family. But the price, estrangement, financial strain, emotional scars, questioned if it was worth it. Sarah's full reconciliation came gradually. A Christmas visit bearing gifts. I miss you both. Hugs, tears, tentative steps toward forgiveness. But mending wasn't linear. Arguments flared over past hurts. As the year turned, they faced a new challenge. Public scrutiny from a local news story on scandalous divorces. Anonymized but recognizable. Comments online debated. Love is love versus selfish destruction. Emily read them obsessively, internalizing the hate. The cumulative toll led to a breaking point. One evening, Emily packed a bag. I need space. This is too much. Laura's plea. Don't run from us. The decision hung a moral crossroads, stay and fight, or walk away to spare more pain. Emily's bag sat by the door, a silent ultimatum in their cramped apartment. The air thickened with unspoken fears as Laura stood across from her, eyes pleading. If you leave now, what was it all for? The pain, the fights. Emily hesitated, hand on the knob. Leaving meant safety, normalcy. Perhaps reconciling with her family, pursuing a life without judgment. Staying meant embracing the chaos, the love that defied norms. She stayed. The choice wasn't easy. It came with therapy, homework, boundaries set. They attended couples counseling, dissecting power dynamics. Age isn't just a number, the counselor noted. Emily admitted feeling overshadowed. Laura confessed to overprotecting. Progress was slow but tangible, date nights without drama, shared goals like travel. Society's gaze didn't soften. At a university gala, Laura introduced Emily as her partner. Whispers ensued. The homewrecker. A colleague pulled Laura aside. This could cost you tenure. The warning stung, highlighting professional sacrifices. Laura chose authenticity over advancement, submitting a resignation letter, only to withdraw it after support from allies. Your story inspires, a queer faculty member said. Sarah's journey paralleled theirs. She came out to David expecting rejection. Instead, he surprised her. I want you happy, unlike me. The hypocrisy softened her stance. Family dinners resumed, awkward at first. David brought his new wife. Civility reigned, but undercurrents of resentment lingered. Sarah dated a woman, confiding in Emily. It's scary but freeing. The bond reformed, sisters in struggle. Emily's breakthrough came via a blog. Anonymously, she wrote about her experience, the internal war between desire and duty. It went viral in LGBTQ circles, offers for speaking gigs following. Your voice matters, an editor said. Empowered, she applied to grad school again, this time emphasizing resilience. Acceptance came from NYU, a move to New York looming. The relocation tested them. Long distance. Laura worried. Emily reassured. We've survived worse. But doubts festered. Laura's health scare. A stress-induced panic attack. Forced reflection. Hospital bedside, Emily vowed. I'm not going anywhere. The incident underscored vulnerabilities. Laura, at 44, faced aging in a youth-obsessed world, while Emily navigated early adulthood. Moral dilemmas peaked when Sarah asked for advice. Should I tell my girlfriend about our family mess? Emily urged honesty. Secrets destroy. But hypocrisy nagged. Their own secrets had imploded lives. Laura pondered. Was our path right? Or did we justify selfishness? Community involvement helped. They volunteered at a shelter for queer youth, hearing tales of rejection mirroring Emily's. One teen story, disowned for loving a girl, echoed hers. Mentoring became cathartic, turning personal pain into communal healing. Betrayal struck again via an ex-friend of Sarah's, leaking private photos online. Doxing followed. Addresses, emails. Harassment escalated, threatening calls, protests outside Laura's classes. The university provided security, but paranoia peaked. Is this the price? Emily asked, voice breaking. They considered legal action, suing for defamation. Court again, reliving traumas. Victory came, but at emotional cost. Therapy bills mounting, trust eroded. Laura questioned. Maybe we should hide. Emily's fire. No. Visibility matters. As Emily prepared for NYU, goodbyes loomed. Packing boxes, they reminisced, the first touch, the altar kiss. Laughter mixed with tears. Sarah hosted a farewell dinner. Toasts to new beginnings. David attended, offering reluctant congratulations. You've got guts, he admitted to Laura. The move to New York brought fresh challenges. Emily's dorm life clashed with their relationship. Weekends visits strained budgets. Loneliness crept in, temptations from classmates. One night, a flirtatious encounter at a bar tested her fidelity. She walked away, calling Laura. I choose us. Laura, alone in Boston, faced empty nest syndrome amplified. She dove into writing a memoir, raw and unflinching. Publishers bit, but edits demanded toning down controversies. Make it palatable, they said. Laura refused. Truth isn't pretty. Reunions were passionate, reaffirming bonds. But distance highlighted differences. Emily's ambition versus Laura's stability. Arguments over visits escalated. You don't understand my schedule. The strain culminated in a breakup threat. Maybe we're better apart. Reconciliation came during a surprise visit. Emily showed up, ring in hand, not marriage but commitment. A promise to fight. Laura accepted, tears flowing. They planned her move to New York, Laura transferring to Columbia. Settling in Manhattan, they navigated urban anonymity. Fewer stares, more acceptance. But past shadows lingered. A family reunion invite from Emily's parents arrived, conditional. Come alone. She declined. All or nothing. Sarah's wedding to her girlfriend became a milestone. Laura walked her down the aisle, Emily as maid of honor. Vows exchanged, a far cry from their own disrupted ceremony. Joy mingled with reflection. Their choices paved this path. Yet not all wounds healed. David's new marriage faltered, mirroring old patterns. He reached out. I see now, happiness isn't facade. Forgiveness tentative, boundaries firm. In their New York life they thrived. Laura's book released, sparking debates. Emily graduated, starting a clinic for queer mental health. Success bittersweet, built on sacrifices. The New York skyline glittered outside their Brooklyn apartment window, a stark contrast to the quiet Cambridge streets where it all began. Laura's book tour had just wrapped. Reviews praising its raw honesty on queer awakening amid societal chains. Emily, now a licensed therapist, counseled clients whose stories echoed theirs. Hidden loves, family rifts. But in quiet moments they pondered the toll. Was the freedom worth the fractures? Daily life normalized, but undercurrents of past decisions surfaced. A client session triggered Emily, a woman torn between duty and desire. "What would you do?" the client asked. Emily paused, her own history flashing. The altar kiss, Sarah's betrayal, endless judgments. "Choose truth," she advised, but doubt lingered. Had they romanticized their rebellion? Laura faced similar reckonings at book signings. Fans gushed. "You inspired me to come out." Critics accuse, glorifying adultery. One Q&A turned heated. "Didn't you consider the ethics?" Laura's response. "Ethics evolve. Mine did." But privately, guilt over Sarah's pain persisted, even as their relationship mended. Sarah visited often, her marriage thriving. "You two showed me it's possible," she said. But shadows remained, therapy for trust issues stemming from the affair. "I forgive but forget?" No. The honesty strengthened them. A family rebuilt on authenticity. External pressures evolved. A conservative backlash to Laura's book led to cancelled events, online trolls. "Protect traditional values," they railed. Emily countered with advocacy, speaking at rallies. "Love isn't a threat." But exhaustion set in. Activism demanded energy once reserved for healing. Intimacy deepened, but age differences amplified. Laura's menopause brought vulnerabilities. "Do I still attract you?" Emily's reassurance. "Always." Yet, Emily's career ambitions pulled her away. Conferences, late nights. Resentment brewed. "You're prioritizing work over us." A major conflict arose when Emily was offered a position in California. "It's a dream job," she said. Laura's fear. Another separation? The debate raged. Stay together or pursue individual growth? Moral quandary. Sacrifice self for love or balance both? They compromised. Laura would freelance remotely, relocating together. The move to San Francisco symbolized renewal. Ocean views, fresh air. A chance to escape East Coast baggage. But old habits died hard. Emily's family reached out again, softer. "We miss you." A visit tested waters. Laura accompanied, facing scrutiny. "This is her?" her mother asked, tone laced with disapproval. Emily stood firm. "Yes, and she's staying." The encounter unearthed buried traumas. Arguments followed. Emily blaming Laura for the estrangement. "If not for you." Laura's retort. "It was always there, your truth." Reconciliation in therapy. Acknowledging shared responsibility. Professionally, they flourished. Emily's clinic expanded. Laura taught online courses. Community ties grew, friends not just survivors. Pride parades became celebrations, not battles. Yet, a final betrayal shook them. A former student of Laura's published an exposé, twisting facts. Predatory professor seduces student. Though Emily wasn't her student, the narrative stuck. Lawsuits ensued. Reputations tarnished anew. Why fight? Laura despaired. Emily's resolve. Because silence loses. Victory in court, but scars added. Public opinion divided. Supporters rallied, detractors vilified. The ordeal forced introspection. Had their love been worth the endless wars? In twilight years, well, for Laura at least, they reflected. Picnics in Golden Gate Park. Hands intertwined. Regrets? Emily asked. Laura smiled. Only not sooner. But the question lingered. Did the ends justify the means? Sarah's child, a niece through adoption, brought joy, a legacy of acceptance. Holding the baby, Laura whispered. Live your truth. The cycle broke, but at great cost. As they aged gracefully, health issues arose. Laura's arthritis limited mobility. Emily's support unwavering. Roles reversed, Emily the caregiver echoing early dynamics. Love endured, tempered by trials. In the end, their story became a testament. Messy, human, defiant. Books written, lives touched. But the core query remained, sparking debates in forums and dinners. Was pursuing forbidden love a heroic act of self-liberation, or a selfish unraveling of innocent lives? What do you think? Was their choice ultimately right or wrong?